Unbelievable journey, betrayed husband discovers hidden truth behind wife's unexpected pregnancy. Jake stood on the factory floor, his hands stained with grease, but his heart thrummed with a joy he hadn't felt in years. After the endless nights of uncertainty and heartbreak, the news hit like a spark igniting a fire: Emily was pregnant. His dreams of family, once just whispers in the night, were now a vivid reality. The cramped living room of their small house was filled with laughter, friends clinking glasses, celebrating their triumph over years of despair. Each smile, each cheer, wrapped around him like a warm blanket. But as the cheers faded and the laughter echoed into a soft murmur, shadows lurked at the edges of his happiness, whispers creeping in like weeds. At the local diner, he overheard the hushed tones of concern. "Have you heard about Emily and Matt?" His heart sank as he recognized the charming high school classmate who had always been a little too close for comfort. A knot tightened in his chest. Days turned into restless nights, the fabric of their life unraveling as suspicion seeped into his heart. What was once a sanctuary felt like a prison. He poured himself into work, keeping his head down, trying to drown out the creeping doubts. But they haunted him, whispers slithering through his mind. Could he trust Emily? Did she let her loneliness push her into the arms of someone else? The moment of truth came crashing down when he confronted her, desperate for clarity. Emily's eyes brimmed with tears as she explained her loneliness, the void left by his long hours at the factory. "I needed someone to talk to, Jake," and it spiraled. The weight of her words settled like a boulder. Torn between love and the sting of betrayal, he felt both the urge to hold her and the instinct to flee. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as he began to unravel the threads of their faltering relationship, tragedy struck. A call late one night shattered everything. Matt had been in a car accident. The world spun around him, a swirl of confusion and regret. Rage poured through his veins as he fought with guilt. He had wanted answers, but not like this. Should he feel relieved? Should he feel sorrow? As Jake navigated the emotional storm, he learned of Emily's depth of feeling, her longing for connection even when he was close by. Their love became a complex tapestry of mistakes and misunderstandings. The community rallied around them, offering support and kindness as the couple slowly began to repair their fractured bond. But as he stood alone in the nursery, the walls painted a soft blue, doubts gnawed at him like unwelcome intruders. The dream of fatherhood loomed larger, tangled in fears of love and trust. Would he be able to embrace the joy of parenthood when the air hung heavy with doubt? The question spiraled in his mind: what does love look like when it's torn but still yearning to mend? The nursery, so full of promise, felt just as filled with uncertainty. Could their family survive this turmoil? As hope flickered in the distance, Jake stood at the crossroads of love and betrayal, wondering which path would lead him home. The days passed, each moment a quiet struggle as Jake grappled with the web of emotions swirling around him. The nursery, once a symbol of hope, now felt more like a reminder of what was at stake. He spent hours pondering how they would navigate the upcoming months. Could he embrace the role of fatherhood while wrestling with feelings of betrayal? Each fleeting thought pulled him deeper into a whirlpool of doubt. Emily tried reaching out, her voice soft and sincere. "We should talk, Jake. I want to make this right," she pleaded one evening, her eyes red from crying. But each time she approached, he found himself retreating further into a shell. "Right now, I just need space," he would say, his voice strained, unable to look her in the eye, afraid he might see the truth he wasn't ready to face. That weekend, Jake took a drive to clear his head, the hum of the engine providing some semblance of calm. The open road stretched out before him, yet he felt trapped, shackled by his own emotions. He parked at a scenic overlook, gazing out at the sprawling valley below. The vibrant landscape should have brought him peace, but instead, it deepened his sense of isolation. As he stared into the distance, memories washed over him: their wedding under the oak tree, laughter on lazy Sundays, promises exchanged over candlelit dinners. Each moment that had once brought joy now threatened to suffocate him. Were his memories just illusions? Was he holding on to a relationship that no longer existed? With clenched fists, fear bubbled to the surface. What if he could never forgive her? What if he couldn't let go of the past when the baby arrived? The thought twisted inside him like a blade. He felt lost in a maze with no exit, no guide, just questions crashing against the walls of his heart. After what felt like hours, he returned home, the familiar sights greeting him with a somber reminder of the life he'd built. He found Emily in the kitchen, a half-finished dinner on the stove, the aroma blending with the sorrow in the air. She turned, and the look in her eyes crumbled his resolve. "Jake," she started, but he held up a hand, needing time to process. Instead, he tucked away the feelings, the shame, the anger, hiding them behind a facade of indifference. But as he settled at the dinner table, his heart echoed with questions. How could this even work? He thought, staring at the untouched plate before him. Suddenly, the gentle hum of their home felt foreign, filled with echoes of unspoken words and unresolved issues. Just then, his phone buzzed: a message from Matt's family. They were holding a memorial service for him next week and had a small request for Emily. Jake felt a knot form in his stomach. The timing felt heavy, like dark clouds threatening to burst. Emily looked at him, unsure of how to proceed. "I think I should go," she said tentatively. Her voice trembled with a blend of hope and fear. He sighed deeply, torn between wanting her to heal and the fear of what it might cost him. "Yeah, you should," he replied quietly. But the truth was, he felt the ground shifting beneath him, the past colliding with the present in ways he never anticipated. As they sat in silence, the weight of unspoken words filled the space between them. He could feel the walls closing in, both excited and terrified for what was to come. Was going to the memorial a step toward healing for her, or would it drive a deeper wedge between them? Jake knew this would be a turning point. And in that moment, he wondered, could their love survive this test, or would it become another casualty of the choices they had both made? Jake's heart raced as he absorbed the weight of Emily's words. The mention of the memorial not only stirred memories of Matt, but also rushed in a cascade of emotions: gratitude, loss, and guilt intertwined in a twisted knot within him. Whatever had happened between him and Emily, Matt's death had changed everything. "It might be a good chance for you, Em. To say goodbye," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair, avoiding her gaze again, fearing she'd see just how vulnerable he felt. The atmosphere thickened with tension, and it felt as though time had slowed to a crawl. "Thanks, Jake," she replied softly, a flicker of relief lighting up her otherwise sorrowful eyes. But beneath that relief, Jake could sense the weight of the past settling heavily on her shoulders, the weight of choices made, and words left unsaid. Later that night, as Jake lay in bed, he found sleep elusive. Thoughts of the memorial gnawed at him, mixing with his swirling emotions about fatherhood and Emily. In the darkness, he replayed moments of their life together, each memory a haunting melody that echoed in his mind. He felt anger creep back in, intertwining with the hurt. How had they gotten to this point? The morning came too quickly, the sun peeking cautiously through the clouds, painting the room in soft tones. Emily was already up, busy preparing for the day. Jake watched her, the act of moving about the kitchen both comforting and painful. She hummed softly to herself, and the melody tugged at something deep within him. "Emily," he called out, hesitant, his heart pounding. She turned to him, her eyes brightening just a little. "Yeah. I don't want you to feel like you have to go alone to the memorial." "I'll drive you," he said, unsure of where the words were coming from but knowing he had to say them. Her surprise was palpable, her mouth opening slightly before she nodded, hope flickering in her gaze. "Are you sure? I thought I know. I think it's important, for both of us," he replied, cutting off her words. The prospect of sharing this moment felt monumental, like a small bridge built from the jagged rocks of their current situation. Silence enveloped them as they prepared. Emily's hand brushed against his as they exited the house, and the connection sent a jolt through him. Picnic tables and chairs dotted the park where the memorial was held, flowers contributed to a bittersweet beauty around the simple setup. The sound of laughter, mingled with sorrowful whispers, filled the air. As they stepped into the gathering, Jake suddenly felt small amidst the collective grief. His eyes scanned the crowd, searching for familiar faces. Among them, he spotted Matt's parents, grief radiating from them like an aura, pulling everyone into its orbit. They approached Emily, and before he knew it, she was wrapped in their embrace, tears spilling out as they shared stories of Matt. Jake felt a mix of emotions wash over him: sadness for the loss, anger at how circumstances had changed, and fear of the distance building between him and Emily. Yet, as he watched her, he couldn't shake the sense that being at this memorial might pull them back together, or would expose fractures even deeper than he realized. The memorial ceremony began, and Jake held on to Emily's hand tightly, feeling her warmth against his skin. They were two souls weathering the storm, standing at the center of a moment that could either mend them or unravel what little bond they still shared. As the service progressed, Jake felt a stirring within him, not just the grief but a flicker of hope. Perhaps healing was possible, but it would require facing more than just the pain of their history. They would have to confront the shared future that lay ahead. But when the time came to speak, the weight of everything past and impending squeezed the breath out of him. What would he say? He took a steadying breath, ready to confront not just their shared grief but the fragility of their relationship. Then, as he stepped towards the podium, a voice called out from the crowd. "Wait. You need to hear this too." Jake, his heart raced as he turned to see who was speaking, anticipation and dread twisting inside him. What was coming next? Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he turned. The voice was familiar, yet unexpected. A figure emerged from the crowd, stepping into the weak afternoon light. Mark, a longtime friend of Matt's, looked distraught. His face was a mask of pain, yet there was an urgency in his eyes that sent a chill straight through Jake. "Mark?" Jake's voice barely carried above the subtle rustling of the shuffling crowd. There was something heavy in Mark's gaze, a burden he seemed desperate to lift. "Jake," Mark hesitated, glancing at Emily and then back to Jake. "I didn't want to bring this up here, but it's important." The air crackled with tension. People were beginning to turn and murmur, sensing the shift in the atmosphere. Emily stood frozen beside Jake, her hand slipping from his grip. The warmth faded, leaving a cold emptiness in its place. Jake's mind raced. What could Mark possibly want to say? "Just say it," Jake urged, his voice edged with confusion and rising panic. "Matt had some things he wanted to tell you, things I didn't realize until after," Mark said, each word dropping like weights around them. "He didn't want to burden you, but I think you need to know." Jake's thoughts spiraled. Memories flashed before him, laughter shared, secrets spoken late into the night, and the easy camaraderie they had enjoyed. But in that instant, those moments felt tainted, shrouded in uncertainty. "Mark, just get to the point," Jake said, frustration tinged with a flicker of desperation. He found out something right before he passed," Mark continued, lowering his voice as if protecting the secret from the wind. "Something about you and Emily." Jake felt the earth shift beneath him. "What are you talking about?" Mark swallowed hard. Matt knew about Emily's pregnancy, but he also knew it wasn't his child. The proclamation hung in the air like an uninvited specter, eliciting gasps from those close enough to hear. Jake looked at Emily, whose face had drained of color, eyes wide and filled with tears. "What?" was all Jake could manage, the ground beneath him suddenly feeling too unstable. Could this really be true? "Matt was going to confront you about it," Mark said softly, taking a step closer, as if he were afraid of the implications of his own words. But then everything happened. He could feel every gaze in the crowd shifting to him and Emily, the weight of their scrutiny pressing down like a thick fog. Each breath felt heavier than the last. "Emily," he started, but the betrayal lodged in his throat, a lump of dread he couldn't swallow. "I didn't want," she began, her voice breaking, but Jake held up a hand, needing a moment to breathe, to fathom the world shattering around him. For an instant, there was silence. The wind rustled the trees, and Jake could hear the faint sound of laughter in the distance, as if the world was determined to keep spinning, even as his life had splintered. "Why didn't you tell me?" he whispered, pain etched across his face. "I was scared, Jake." Emily cried out, tears spilling down her cheeks. I thought we could figure things out once we got through this." Anguish washed over him, swirling with the unresolved feelings he had carried for months. The thought of losing her consumed him, yet the hurt clawed at his heart mercilessly. A murmur broke through the crowd as those gathered strained to hear. The whispers danced around them, thickening the tension, drawing more attention to the pain unfolding. With the world watching, Jake felt an overwhelming choice surge inside him. Could he still love the woman who had kept such a monumental secret? His mind was a battlefield of emotions, what they had shared, the love they had fought to keep alive, and the bitter taste of betrayal that lingered. As he met Emily's gaze, searching for the truth in her eyes, the gravity of the moment pressed down upon him. In that shared silence, the weight of their fractured trust hung heavy. Then Mark spoke again, his voice low but urgent. "You're not alone in this, Jake. You're family to me. But you need to decide what happens next." Jake took a step back, processing the whirlwind of emotions and revelations. What direction would he take now? The answer felt impossibly out of reach. "Do you want to talk?" Emily asked softly, her voice trembling slightly as if she was reaching for him through the darkness. As Jake opened his mouth to reply, another voice called out from deep within the crowd, "What will you do, Jake?" The question echoed in the air, leaving him at a crossroads. With a heaviness in his heart that felt like a vice, he looked at Emily, then back to the crowd, uncertainty looming like an impending storm. What would this moment demand of him? And in that moment of doubt, beneath the sigh of trees and collective anticipation, his next move would shape everything. Jake's heart was racing, his mind churning with confusion and disbelief. Emily's tear-filled eyes held a depth of sorrow he had never seen before. The world around him faded into a blur, the murmurs of the crowd melting into white noise. Emily's voice was barely a whisper, trembling as she searched for his gaze. It felt as if time had frozen, leaving just the two of them standing on an emotional precipice, barely holding on to what they'd built over the years. "Why didn't you call me? Why didn't you tell me sooner?" The words poured out of him like a desperate plea, raw and jagged. He wanted answers, but every question only seemed to deepen their chasm of mistrust. "I thought I could protect you from the truth. From all of this," she cried, frustration merging with sorrow. "I didn't want to hurt you, and I thought we could work it out later." "Work what out? This isn't just something we can brush under the rug, Emily." Jake's voice cracked, and for the first time, he felt rage simmering beneath his anguish. "You hid this from me. You let me think everything was fine when it wasn't." The surprise in the crowd was palpable as more eyes turned, each pair a reminder of their unraveling story. With each heartbeat, the weight of their gaze pressed harder on him. He felt exposed, vulnerable, both to his fellow mourners and to Emily. "Jake, I wish things were different. I didn't mean for it to happen like this," she pleaded, her sobs cutting through the tension. "I was scared. I didn't want to add to the heartbreak of losing Matt." Jake's mind spiraled again, caught between the love he felt for her and the betrayal that clawed at his chest. He wanted to scream, to run, to find a way back to a time when their life was simple, filled with joy instead of secrets. "What do you want me to say?" he asked, voice lowering, exhaustion creeping in. Do you really think I can just forget this? That nothing has changed? Emily shook her head, desperation written across her features. No, I don't expect you to forgive me right away. I love you, Jake. I've always loved you. Please, can we try to find a way through this together? Love is built on trust, Em. He took a deep breath, trying to rein in the flood of emotions. This feels like a betrayal. I don't know how to move forward from here. How can we go back to what we had? Mark stepped in, sensing the boiling tension. Listen, Jake, I know this is hard. But you do care about each other. Just take a moment to breathe. Don't make any decisions in haste. Jake's eyes darted from Mark back to Emily. In those fleeting moments, the memories washed over him, nights spent laughing, the warmth of their shared dreams. Part of him wanted to grab her hand and pretend none of this was happening. But he knew that was futile. Jake. Emily's voice pulled him back. Her plea was tinged with a mixture of hope and fear. Whatever happens next, I need you to understand how deeply sorry I am for hiding this. Please don't shut me out. He saw the flicker of fear in her eyes, the fear that he might walk away for good. But there was also a flicker of something else, something that called out to him. Was it hope? And then, deep within the swirling turmoil in his heart, he realized something vital: the choice was his. The future hung precariously in the balance. He could walk away, letting their love dissolve into bitterness. Or he could try to reclaim it, however difficult the journey might be. With the crowd's expectation pressing in on them, Jake took a step toward Emily, his heart both heavy and hopeful. I need time. But I can't just let this go, a voice echoed from the back, trembling yet firm. But do you still want her? The question loomed larger than ever as Jake felt the urgency of his decision, forcing him to confront his deepest fears and desires. The truth was, he didn't know. As silence enveloped them once more, he stood at the edge, wrestling with the choice that could define the rest of their lives. Would he find a way back to love, or would he choose to let it slip away forever? Jake felt the world around him meld into an indistinct haze. The sharp sounds of the gathering mourners faded, and he marveled at how time itself seemed to stretch and bend. All he could see was Emily, her face a mix of regret and hope. He took a shaky breath. I don't know what to think right now. Emily stepped closer, the distance between them a gap that felt both physical and emotional waning slightly. Just tell me you want to try, she said softly, urgency woven through her words. I can't lose you, Jake. Not now. The sincerity in her eyes held him captive. He remembered the countless moments they had shared, the laughter, the dreams, the plans. Could he really throw all that away? But then again, how could he look past the hurt? I don't know if I can trust you, he admitted, his voice faltering. You made choices without me. It makes me question everything. Emily nodded, the tears spilling over, glistening in the harsh light of the afternoon. I know. I messed up. But I want to work through this. I want to be honest, every step of the way. Just give me a chance to prove I can change. A dangerous flicker of hope ignited within him, tempered by the ache of betrayal. Was she truly capable of change? More importantly, was he strong enough to shoulder both their burdens if she did? He turned, searching the crowd, seeing familiar faces. They watched him, holding a heavy pity that felt suffocating. Some looked away, a few whispered amongst themselves. In that moment, Jake realized he wasn't just wrestling with his emotions, they were all witnessing his heartbreak. Do I really want her? The echoing question replayed in his mind. He squeezed his eyes shut briefly, trying to shut out the noise and find clarity. What would his life look like without Emily? It felt cold, and hollow, filled with regrets he wasn't ready to face. Please, she pushed, her voice cracking. I need you to tell me what you're feeling. Let me in, Jake. He grabbed a breath, steadying his racing heart. His hands fisted at his sides, trembling with the weight of his decision. Part of me wants to run, he admitted, the words escaping like a confession. But I also can't shake the love I have for you. Emily's breath hitched as she processed his words, a faint glimmer of hope sparking back to life in her eyes. That love is still there. I can feel it, Jake. We can get through this together if you just decide to hold on. The crowd murmured again, the tension thickening the air. There was a sudden snap of attention as Mark stepped forward, his eyebrows knitted. Just remember, relationships are about growth. Fear can only hold you back. Jake nodded slowly, absorbing the truth in Mark's words like a lifeline being thrown into turbulent waters. Could he face this? Could they grow from this? Could love really triumph over pain? For a moment, the chaos of pain and longing quieted in his chest. He reached out toward Emily, the warmth of her hand resting in his, grounding him amid the emotional storm. I need to think about this, he said, his voice barely above a whisper, but resolute. I owe it to us to not decide right now, chaotically. Just remember, Emily whispered, squeezing his hand, whatever you choose, I'm here. Jake could feel the world around him swirling again, not from confusion but from possibilities. There they stood, at the edge of a cliff, teetering between the pain of betrayal and the flicker of hope, where love might still find a way to thrive. But maybe he needed more than just hope, he needed answers that Emily hadn't yet revealed. As they locked eyes, he felt the urgency to ask the question he feared most. What are you not telling me, Emily? The look on her face transformed, revealing layers of emotion he had yet to fully comprehend. Before she could respond, the crowd's chatter faded to almost nothing, and all that mattered in that moment was the quiet earth-shattering truth that waited to be uncovered. Emily's expression shifted, the weight of unspoken words pressing heavily on her. Jake could see the gears turning in her mind, and something about the way she breathed made his heart race. Jake, she began, her voice shaky, there are things I haven't told you, things I thought I could handle on my own. Like what? His question lingered between them like a storm cloud, thick and charged. For a moment, the world outside their bubble ceased to exist. Every other voice faded, each whisper, judgment, and pair of watchful eyes vanishing as if time held its breath waiting, anticipating. Emily stepped even closer, her free hand trembling as she reached for his. I thought I could keep it from you, that it would protect you somehow. But it's clear now, keeping secrets only makes things worse. He swallowed hard, uncertainty flooding his veins. Emily, please, just tell me. We can't move forward until I know. With a tremor, she let go of his hand and took a step back, a clear sign of her own inner turmoil. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air, heavy and almost surreal, like a boulder that suddenly crashed into water, sending unforeseen ripples spreading fast across the surface. Jake's heart stopped, then raced once more, beating a relentless rhythm against his ribcage. What do you mean pregnant? Her brow furrowed, and she seemed to shrink in on herself, whatever bravery she had pooled now thinning. Before I made the choices that hurt you, Jake, I found out. I didn't know how to handle it, that's why I pushed you away. I thought maybe I could figure it out myself, give us a chance to make things work without the burden of this news. The truth sank in, swirling like dark waters in a tempest. Whose is it? The question clawed its way out of him unbidden, each word sharper than the last. Is it mine? It's yours. Emily cried, her eyes wide with a mix of anguish and earnestness. I promise, it's yours. I was just so scared. Jake staggered backward, his hands gripping the nearby railing for support. Scared? How could you think that keeping this from me would help? You've broken us, Em. You did this. The crowd's murmurs surged around them, shock intermingling with judgment. I know, she whispered, raw pain radiating from her. I know I hurt you, and I'm so sorry. But I can't bear this alone. I can't raise a child knowing I've betrayed the only person I want beside me. The rush of emotions coursed through him like a double-edged sword. Fear. Anger. Confusion. And then that flicker of hope, now tangled in a new web of possibilities. Could he be a dad? Would he want to share that with her after all that had happened? The answer felt elusive. Jake raked a hand through his hair, searching for clarity in the midst of chaos. You're asking a lot of me, Em. I don't even trust you right now. I know, she begged, stepping forward once again, desperation fueling her movements. But I'm asking for a chance, not just for us but for our child. We can't let this baby be born into a world of lies. As her words sank in, dread and anxiety swirled within him, feeding the turmoil in his heart. Could this really be a second chance? Or was it simply another trap waiting to ensnare him? Do you really believe we can fix this? He asked, eyes searching hers for the answer. The profound silence surrounded them, everyone waiting with bated breath. Emily nodded, tears cascading down her cheeks, a desperate mix of longing and fear. I believe we can, she breathed. But you have to meet me halfway. We have to be honest. Together. The wind rustled through the trees, as the weight of reality settled around them. Jake was faced with a decision that could change everything. Did he want to fight for something so fragile? As the hollow sound of a bell echoed in the distance, something deep within him stirred. Maybe, just maybe, it was worth fighting for. But in the back of his mind, he couldn't shake the unease creeping in. What other truths lay buried, waiting to surface? Could honesty really heal their shattered bond? Emily, he began, but before he could finish, a voice called out. From the crowd, sending a ripple of surprise through the mourners. Wait, there's more you need to know. The tension in the air shifted yet again, and Jake felt reality rail against this new twist in their already twisted tale, leaving him teetering on the precipice of suspense. What other revelations awaited? How deep did the rabbit hole go? Jake's heart thudded as everyone turned toward the source of the voice. Eyes widened, the air thick with anticipation. His mind raced, trying to make sense of it all. What do you mean? He called out, desperation ringing in his voice. A man stepped through the throng, his expression tense. He was someone Jake recognized but didn't know well, an acquaintance of Emily's from work. The man hesitated, his gaze darting to Emily. I don't know how to say this, but there's something you both need to hear. Emily's face paled, fear and confusion swirling in her eyes. What is it, Jason? Just tell us. Jake could feel the shift in the crowd. Some people leaned in closer, eager to hear, while others exchanged whispers that prickled against his skin like needles. He locked eyes with Emily, who seemed to hold her breath, as if this revelation could shatter their fragile moment completely. The reason Emily's been so distant, Jason began, his voice low and steady, isn't just the pregnancy. There's something she didn't tell you, something that happened a while ago, before everything fell apart. Jake's stomach dropped as dread filled the air. What are you talking about? An accident in a park downtown. Emily was hurt badly. She was in rehab for a while. That's why she shut herself off. It wasn't drugs or partying she was trying to heal. And when she found out she was pregnant, he paused, his gaze turning softer. It was like everything came crashing down again. Emily's hands trembled as she turned pale, tears brimming in her eyes. I didn't want you to see me like that, Jake. I felt broken. I thought if I could just get through it alone I could be strong enough for us. Jake staggered back, processing the new information. A whirlwind of emotions spun inside him: anger, betrayal, pity. The pieces began to connect, but the mosaic was far from complete. But, why didn't you tell me any of this? His voice was strained, frustration boiling just under the surface. Because I was scared. I thought you'd leave me. I didn't want you to see me as someone weak, especially after everything we went through. She cried, her words punctuated by the sobs wrenching from her throat. Everyone around them fell silent, a collective breath held in the tension. The murmurs of sympathy and shock buzzed softly behind them, but they felt miles away. Jake stood frozen, caught between wanting to comfort her and the hurt spiraling within him. "Emily, we could have faced it together," he said finally, his voice breaking. "Instead, you chose silence. You pushed me away when I wanted to be right there beside you. Now I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know, Em." Jason shifted nervously, sensing the rising heat in Jake's words. "Maybe you both need time to unpack this. Understand what really happened." Jake turned to Emily, her tear-streaked face a mirror of his turmoil. The baby inside her felt so real, and yet so abstract, as if it belonged to a story he couldn't yet comprehend. "Is this true?" He searched her eyes for honesty. "Did you really think this would help?" Emily broke down sobbing, and a part of Jake ached for her. "I thought I could protect you from my past. I thought this baby would give us a chance to rebuild everything." As the echo of her plea faded, Jake felt a different kind of truth cracking open in his mind. Could he forgive her? Would he let himself believe in the possibility of healing even after the lies? "Jake," she whispered, voice quaking, "if you walk away now, I won't know what to do. This baby could be our chance. But what about trust? What about the pain that's still tangled in his chest?" Before he could respond, Jason's words rang in his mind like the toll of a bell, a sign of reality hitting hard. "You need to know everything, Jake. There's still more. What else is there?" Jake demanded, feeling the rush of adrenaline surge through him. His heart raced, urgency compelling him forward. He needed answers now. The crowd leaned in closer, the drama unfolding with a life of its own. Something in the pit of his stomach gave way to dread. As he faced the unknown. What had Emily really been hiding? And would he be able to confront the past to embrace their future? The weight of silence hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Jake's pulse quickened as he waited for Jason to continue. Each heartbeat echoed his need for clarity, for a pathway through the confusion that had engulfed them. Emily's face twisted with emotion, flickers of guilt and fear battling for dominance. I can't believe this," Jake said, his voice barely above a whisper, as if speaking louder would shatter the delicate balance of their situation. "What else is there?" Jason took a deep breath, readying himself for the next revelation, his brows furrowed with concern. "You should know that Emily isn't just worried about her past. There are people involved, people from when it happened, and they might not be done with her yet." Jake felt a cold rush sweep through him. People. The word hung ominously in his mind. "What do you mean? Who?" Emily shuddered, her eyes now glistening with fresh tears. "I haven't just been distant because of my accident, Jake. There's a man," she stammered, her voice trembling. "He was there that day. He saved me, and then things got complicated. He wanted to see me since I came back." A gasp rippled through the nearby crowd, the tension escalating. Jake's heart raced, and a fresh wave of anger surged through him. "You let him back in? After everything? Emily, you say you wanted to protect me, but this? This feels like a betrayal." No. It was like that," she implored, panic evident in her voice. "I didn't want to remember. I never meant for him to be part of my life again. I thought if I just pushed it away, if I focused on us it would go away." But the truth hung heavy between them, a barrier that felt almost insurmountable. Jake shook his head, grappling with a mix of hurt and disbelief. He clenched his fists, forcing himself to breathe. "Did you seek him out? Are you still seeing him?" "No," Emily cried. "I swear, Jake. I didn't reach out. I avoided him after rehab. It's been too hard to face everything. But now." He pressed, desperation etching his features. "What if he comes looking for you? What if he finds out about the baby? I don't know. I can't control what he does." Her voice escalated, and for a fleeting moment, Jake caught the raw vulnerability in her expression, a reflection of his own fear. The crowd around them shifted uncertainly, the whispers transforming into a low murmur of intrigue mixed with concern. Jake could feel their eyes piercing into him, judging, waiting for his response. He felt trapped, like a deer caught in headlights. "Why didn't you tell me?" he whispered again, just above the noise. "You let me walk into this blind." Emily's breath hitched, and she stepped closer, her hands reaching out to grasp his. "Because I was terrified. Terrified of losing you. I thought if I could shield you from my past, we could start fresh. I wanted to protect our future." Jake searched her eyes, hoping to find a glimmer of truth, something solid to hold on to amidst the chaos. "Can we move forward?" The question hung heavy on his lips. "Or is it too late?" Before she could answer, Jason interjected, "You both need to decide how to deal with this together. And I think you might need professional help. It's a lot to unpack." His words rolled over Jake like a wave, washing away what little clarity he had. "So that's it? Just talk to some therapist and everything will be okay?" Jason's voice softened. "It's a step, but it will take time. Healing doesn't happen overnight, and trust needs to be rebuilt." Jake lowered his gaze, the weight of their reality crashing down on him. "But what if I can't forgive? What if this man, this ghost of your past, keeps haunting us?" Emily's hands tightened around his, her desperation palpable. "I'll fight for you, Jake. I promise. Just give me a chance. Let us face this together." As she spoke, a flicker of hope ignited within him, a small flame amidst the storm of uncertainty. But even then, a lingering dread clung to him. They were on the brink of a decision that could either bind them together or pull them apart. "Then we'll need to be honest, all the way, Jake," finally replied, his voice steadying. "No more secrets." He could feel the crowd's attention sealing his fate. Was he ready to confront not just Emily's past, but the potential unraveling of their future? A new urgency gripped him, and in that moment, as Emily looked at him with eyes pleading for trust, Jake felt the undeniable weight of the journey ahead. The confrontation would be hard. Would their love survive the trials to come? Suddenly, a cry cut through the tension. A baby's cry echoed from somewhere nearby, starkly reminding them of the fragile life they were building. It lingered in the air, carrying an unsettling promise. Was it a sign of new beginnings, or a warning that things could spiral out of control? Jake's heart raced again, but this time it pulsed with something different. Hope. Fear. It all blurred together. The next conversation might redefine everything. "Let us start," he said, each word a lifeline. "Let us figure this out." But as he took a breath, deep down, he knew there were still shadows lurking in the corners, questions that needed to be answered. What would happen when the past caught up with them? He held his breath, waiting for Emily's response. Was their love truly strong enough to face the tests ahead? Emily's eyes glistened under the weight of his words. "Together then?" Her voice was barely audible, trembling on the precipice of hope and despair. Jake felt a surge of emotion, the knot in his chest loosening just a bit. "Yeah, together." He nodded, sealing the promise with a fragile smile. As the crowd murmured softly around them, Jake could feel the air thickening with emotions, whispers of past grievances hanging like heavy clouds. "But we have to start by being completely honest. No more hiding." "I promise," she responded, determination lining her features. She took a step closer, her hand gently squeezing his. "I'll be open. From now on, we face everything together." Jake felt the warmth of her fingers against his. It was both grounding and electrifying. Their past had been marred with secrets, but maybe, just maybe, honesty could light a way forward. "I still have so many questions," he confessed, searching her eyes for sincerity. "Like, how do we handle this man from your past? What if he seeks you out again?" Emily dropped her gaze, her vulnerability laid bare. I don't know. But I will not let him come between us. I want to look back at my past. I'm ready to focus on our baby and on us. Her words stirred something inside him. Deep down, he believed in the strength of their love, even amidst the wreckage. You know, this baby, it could really be the best thing that ever happened to us, he murmured, feeling the bond between them deepen further. But it's on us to create that future. It won't come easy, Emily warned, her expression serious. We'll have to face my past and everything else head on. I'm willing to try. He caught the tears welling in her eyes and felt his resolve strengthen. Just then, the echo of a baby's cry filled the air again, pulling their attention. The sound felt like a plea, a reminder of the life they were about to bring into the world. Jake realized this was no small task. Raising a child meant navigating the labyrinth of discussions and healing together. It meant setting aside fears of betrayal and opening their hearts despite the pain. They had to rewrite their story. Let us talk to someone, get the help we need, he suggested cautiously, glancing at Jason. The man nodded in agreement, and something within Jake felt relieved. It wasn't a sign of weakness, it was a commitment to growth. Good idea, Emily said, her face lighting up a bit. I'll call around, set something up, Jake continued, determination flooding through him. We need the right guidance if we're going to make this work. I'll be right here, she promised, her voice steady. And I'll work on myself. I have to, for our baby and for you. No more secrets. Feeling emboldened, Jake stepped forward, closing the gap that had existed between them for too long. He pulled her into an embrace, holding her tightly. A mix of love, fear, and determination swirled within him. They were about to embark on a wild journey, but the future ahead felt a little brighter in that moment. I'm scared, he whispered against her hair, breathing in her scent that felt like home yet carried the weight of their shared turmoil. But I want to embrace whatever we can build together. Emily's grip tightened as she stepped back just enough to look into his eyes. We won't do this perfectly. But we'll do it with love. That has to be enough. Jake nodded, feeling the warmth spread inside him. They had to forge their path with patience and empathy. Just outside, sunlight broke through the heavy clouds, spilling warmth into the world and silently urging them into a new chapter. Okay, let us do this, he declared, his resolve deepening. Together, they turned back towards the gathering. Friends and family watched with a mix of concern and support. Jake locked eyes with a few familiar faces, their expressions softening as they saw a glimmer of hope beginning to take root between him and Emily. We're going to be okay, he stated, feeling the swell of emotion rise in him again, this time layered with anticipation. As they began to walk hand in hand towards the crowd, Jake felt the weight of his past and the lightness of the future colliding into a profound moment of realization. Healing was not a straight path but a winding road filled with challenges and triumphs. But they would navigate it side by side, just as they always should have. And for the first time in a long while, Jake felt the pull of joy igniting a fierce spark within hope, carved from their will to love fiercely and honestly. Now was not the time to look back. Now was the time to build, and Jake was ready to embrace it, one step at a time. Don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread the love. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. How did this transformation hit you? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring journey. You need to show your support now.